both very much for your very complimentary presentation, and we can open the floor. Don't hesitate to make use of the languages and the excellent work of our interpreters. Razia.
Thank you. Razia Akoch, AFP News Agency. I just have two questions. The first one is, the press release speaks about working with like-minded countries. So I just wondered if that would include, because I think British steelmakers are particularly concerned by these announcements and how it would affect. And this question is specifically for you, Mr. Šefčovič. You've said repeatedly, and most recently that I could see to the Atlantic Council an event, that you were discussing with American partners a ring-fencing model. So I would just like to know, now that you've made this announcement, which I assume you had, I think you had said, or maybe it had been implied, that with the Americans this kind of needed to be done before you could move forward. Could you just tell us more about how the discussions are going and what next steps the EU or the Commission will take? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Of course, I think what we discussed with our American partners, but also with the UK and also within this forum when we are discussing the overcapacity already for quite some time, we are ready to pursue this debate and this dialogue. Unfortunately, I have to say that we are already in the discussion for several years, and so far, beyond the political declaration, we didn't achieve the concrete results. So, seeing the situation on the global market and situation in European single market, there was no other chance or no other solution than the actions we are undertaking today. Of course, we are absolutely convinced that the best solution would be to tackle global overcapacities. I just presented to you the numbers, and they are overwhelming. Overcapacity is 5 times higher than the annual consumption of the whole European Union, I think even together with the UK. So that's the real issue we have to tackle. And coming to the US, we've been discussing the steel from the first meeting in our exchanges with the US partners, with Secretary Latnik and Ambassador Greer. And I think it was quite clear that we are not each other's problem, looking at the flows of exports and imports of the steel. On top of it, we as Europeans are supplying US with highly specialized steel, which I know is needed in US. So the proposal was that we should discuss how we can ring-fence our markets against the global overcapacity. And, of course, what was clear coming across from US is that, look, we already adopted very robust measures. What you Europeans are going to do? As I'm sure you noted, we decided to do it in our European way. It means that we keep our market open, that we are offering quotas for our partners. We are using it to make sure that our producers would be competitive, and only when the exports are exceeding this newly established quota, then we are going to charge the out-of-quota 50% tariff. But I believe that the goal is the same, to protect the steel industry in Europe, and we will, of course, inform our American partners about these measures, and I hope that this would help us to start the discussion on the ring fencing, and especially to address the issue of steel derivatives, which represent a huge burden and cost for our exporters, and I hope that we will find the amicable resolution to that problem as well.
Very good. Thank you. Alice, please.
Thank you. Hi, Alice Hancock, Financial Times. It's another trade-related one. Just to follow up on Razia's question about the UK, I wondered what your response was to concerns from the UK steel industry that the quotas will cause a crisis for them. And the point...
but I didn't hear you well.
A little fast. I just wondered what your response was to the concerns of the UK steel industry that they will face a crisis from these measures and that it goes against the TCA. And on the second question, to the point about a kind of low tariff steel club, if you like, is that part of the idea of this proposal to create that kind of low tariff steel club with trusted partners by getting them to take action on China or join in similar efforts? Thank you.
I think if it comes to the UK, clearly we are like-minded partners, and I want to reassure everyone that we will fully respect our trade and cooperation agreement and of course all the elements of Windsor framework regarding Northern Ireland. And I would underline once again that we are not closing the EU market for imports from our partners, and under this measure, UK will have access to the system of free-of-duty tariff quotas to benefit from. However, as it was outlined in our proposal, we will also continue to apply the same regime agreed with the UK as far as the trade flows from UK into the Northern Ireland, and by this measure we are confirming that we are going to fully respect the Windsor Agreement. What I was referring to a little bit earlier, we are already closely cooperating in the framework of this global forum on steel excess capacity, and we will of course engage bilaterally with our UK partners on this issue, but to have a measure fully compatible with the WTO rules, we have to proceed through erga omnes application of these measures, and UK is 8th largest exporter of the steel to the European Union. What will happen right now is that at first we need approval of this measure by the European Parliament, by the Member States, and after that we immediately start the GATT Article 28 negotiations with our partners, including UK, and we will negotiate these quotas in a good phase, as the two very close partners are EU and the UK.
Very good. Yes, please.
Emmanuel Beretta from Le Point. Do you know exactly why the Americans are not interested till now by our proposal to set up a steel alliance against the Chinese overcapacities?
I think that it's a very good question, because it's quite clear that we are not each other problem, as I highlighted a few minutes ago. We export to US, I think the last figure I recall is something like 4 million tons of steel and 1 million tons of derivatives. So it's a 5 million from our side to the US, on top of it, on very highly specialized steel needed for aerospace and armament industry. And from US to the EU, the volumes are even smaller. I think that it was the approach of the US towards tackling the global overcapacity and protecting the US steel industry, and I hope that we can also clearly point it out that we are taking on the challenge of the global overcapacities ourselves as well, and that it would be much more efficient if we do it together or if we do it with the more like-minded partners.
Very good. Yeah, Matthias.
Thank you. My name is Matthijs Schiffers, head Financiële Dagblad. Some, or even many, had expected that you would base this proposal on national security concerns, I think, as justification for it. But you've chosen to do it with the WTO route. Can you elaborate a little bit on the reasons why you've chosen this route? Thank you.
You mean why we chose our way of acting? I mean, we just wanted to be 100% sure and transparent with our partners that what we are putting on the table is WTO compliant. I mean, it might seem that it would be easier just to base our measure on the security ground, but we want it to be fair to our partners, be it free trade agreement partners or others, and proceed really by the book and by the rules of the WTO. So once we got the mandate from the Council, and we would have the approval of these measures by our co-legislators, so then we engage in the GATT 28 article negotiations about how to divide this quota, what would be the tons allocated for our partners, or what would be the eventual discussions on possible compensation. So we want really to show that we are committed to multilateral trade system, to the rules of WTO, and therefore we decided to go in this very transparent way, and I believe in the most appropriate towards our partners.
Thank you. I see there are many hands online, so let me take one question online. Joe Barnes.
Oh, hello, and I've got a funny background. Sorry about that, as my face is disappearing. Joe Barnes from the Daily Telegraph. A question to Mr. Šefčovič, Commissioner Šefčovič. Britain made a number of concessions to secure better trading relations with the EU, to name a few: fishing rights for 12 years in British waters, a youth mobility scheme. Will those concessions count towards your talks over steel tariff quotas? And then to... Sorry, can you not hear me? Not very well. Is this better? I'm holding you closer.
Now it's better.
Okay, sorry, gentlemen and Paula. During the reset talks with Britain made a number of concessions: 12 years on fishing rights for EU vessels and youth mobility, Erasmus+. Will those concessions help Britain in talks over steel? Do they count to anything? And then to both of you, the Commission criticised Donald Trump for putting tariffs on steel and almost closing the market, and you've replicated essentially what he's done. Do you feel that your move is hypocritical? Thank you. Thank you
very much. If you allow with me, I respectfully disagree with your description of our measures, because we proceeded in different way than US. First and foremost, we are not closing our market with upfront 50% tariff. What we are doing is that we are continuing to trade with our partners, with the steel importers, and there will be very clear quota, which again would be used by our partners for exporting the steel to the EU at 0%. What we are just doing is that we are reducing this tariff-free imports by 47%, because this was established as the appropriate level to protect our industry and to safeguard the steel production in Europe in the time where we simply need to have much stronger economic security and to offer the necessary protection for the industry, which is the backbone of the overall European industry. We are talking defence, we are talking automotives, we are talking machinery, and many other sectors as well. If it comes to the UK, we are working extremely well together. We had a successful summit where we agreed on many of the deliverables, and about some of them you will also hear before the end of the years. And therefore, once this measure is approved by the Member States and by the European Parliament and will get the negotiating mandate, we will also discuss with the UK the allocation of the steel quota for UK. And in the meantime, we are ready to work with the UK and other like-minded partners to make sure that we will achieve concrete results through this global forum on steel excess capacity, because we clearly need to move from the political declaration to the steps which would prevent this global overcapacity to destroy, in our case, European markets, but I know that other countries are suffering from the excessive capacity as well.
Executive Vice President.
Oui, peut-être un mot quand même pour parler un tout petit peu des Européens, même s'il n'y a pas de question sur les Européens, mais notre mesure concerne quand même à la fin les Européens. Et moi, je veux bien que les journalistes européens posent des questions sur notre relation internationale, et sont très importantes. Et Maroš l'a dit, tous les critères qui sont remplis pour pouvoir discuter, avoir une clause OMC compatible et le faire probablement dans le meilleur ordre possible si je compare à tout ce qui s'est fait les derniers mois. Et nous sommes, avec nos valeurs, dans le droit et le respect du droit international, sur cette clause. Mais par contre, nous n'allons pas nous excuser non plus de prendre des décisions pour les sidérurgistes européens, la protection de notre marché et également les emplois qui y sont derrière. Donc si vous avez des questions sur les Européens, on est aussi content de pouvoir répondre.
Voilà, des questions sur les Européens. Vas-y.
Hi, Rick Rutten for NRC. Thank you. I have a question for Commissioner Šefčovič. We've now seen that in several sectors, like steel, Europe is becoming something of a dumping ground for goods from across the world, especially from China. Just yesterday, for instance, we read that clothing exports from China are now way up. So I'm wondering if we look at this, do you see this as a sort of example of how Europe could, in other domains as well, protect itself with tariffs and quotas, even when it's in sectors that may have less of a national security implication, like clothing? Thank you.
Do you want to start? No. No, I think that in many aspects you're correct, and I think that this tendency was amplified by, of course, measures taken by the US administration on the 2nd of April. So what we did is we created this import surveillance task force where we are monitoring on bi-weekly basis where we see the increased imports and what needs to be done to make sure that we would avoid some dramatic developments in different sectors of the European economies. You probably are also aware that this is not the first measure we are adopting in this regard. I mean, we have more than 200 trade defense instruments already deployed, be it anti-dumping measures, different safeguards, and other steps which we've been taking over the years. But the fact is that the steel sector is first one where I would say the acceleration of development was so pronounced that if we compare it with overcapacity times, if you go back to the year 2013 and comparing it to today's status, so we lost almost 100,000 jobs. I mean, we lost a huge production capacity, and half of that capacity we lost in the last 3 years. So the acceleration of negative impact on our market is so that if we simply wouldn't act, so within a couple of years we might be in the situation that we are not even able to provide the key supplies of the steel for the European industry, and we would just develop another dependence in such a strategic sector like a steel production. So this is clearly the measure which we very carefully considered, and this was the only way forward, and therefore I'm glad that we got the full support in the college. And we are also reacting to the fact that we had more than 100 members of European Parliament calling upon us to act. 7 committee chairs are part of that group. 11 member states have been calling for this measure. So I think that we are really responding responsibly to Europeans, to the challenges our steel sector is facing, and at the same time we are doing our utmost to be a good partner, fair trader, and respecting the WTO rules. We are of course looking at other sectors, and I know that Stéphane is looking very, very closely what are the other sectors most impacted by the trade volatility, and I think that he would elaborate on this, that if the need be, we would be acting also in other sectors. But I want to reassure everyone, we are not taking this decision lightly. We are for free and fair trade, we are for balanced relationship, but if our economy is affected by the global overcapacity, which is very often funded by the illegal subsidies or not transparent trade flows, then we have to act, we have to protect the European market. But Stéphane, you are working on this a lot. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit as well.
Bon, je reviendrai après sur les sujets, mais c'est vrai qu'un certain nombre de secteurs se retrouvent également dans les mêmes difficultés. Je pense notamment au secteur de la chimie et l'ensemble des secteurs où on a élaboré un plan d'action sur lequel ont travaillé nos directions respectives ainsi que la Commission européenne, sera amené également à se poser la question des surcapacités, les conditions de marché au niveau européen et également les conditions d'accès au marché européen pour un certain nombre de produits européens qui ne sont pas ni produits ni conçus dans avec les mêmes régulations européennes. La question est juste une question de justice par nos industriels d'un côté et les industriels qui opèrent à l'extérieur de l'Union européenne et qui produisent pour l'Europe. Cette question elle peut très vite se régler par de la production européenne aussi. Ils seront obligés de notamment être compliant avec l'ensemble des règles européennes. Elle peut aussi se régler par des mesures de sauvegarde. Tout ça, on en discutera par la suite.
Bon, on me fait signe qu'on est arrivé à 6 heures. Ça veut dire que nos chers interprètes doivent terminer. Si pourtant nos 2 membres du collège sont encore prêts à répondre. Attends, Razia, parce que là, tu as déjà posé une question, mais avec la bonne volonté du commissaire et du vice-président exécutif, on peut prendre encore 2 questions en français ou en anglais. Je pense qu'on va se débrouiller. Voilà, très bien. Merci de la bonne volonté. Dans la salle, encore des questions? Voilà.
Hi, Lauren Heremans, Dutch News Agency. Thank you so much. Commissioner Šefčovič, you said multiple times that you are open to negotiate with like-minded partners such as the UK. But I was wondering, does this mean that different quotas for different steel trading partners could be negotiated as long as the total is still a deficit of 47%? Could the 13.8 million ton imported steel solely be British or American or Korean? Or do all steel trading partners get an import quota of that is 47% lower based on the total of 2024? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question, because I think what we need right now is to set the overall goal. So what we are proposing is to have the tariff-free quota for the European Union at the level of 18.3 million tons. And after that, once this is approved by the co-legislator, then we will be entering into the negotiations with our partners. And of course, currently we see that it will probably more than 20 partners with whom we have to negotiate. And there will be, of course, different factors which would kick in. What is the historic threshold? What is our proximity? What is the compensation they are seeking? So it's very difficult for us to talk about the concrete allocations numbers right now, because we want it to be fair to our international partners, but especially to our co-legislator, that they have to set this framework, and after that we can work on the concrete allocation. So you're right that the numbers could be different. It would be result of these bilateral negotiations, and after that, what we would do is, once these negotiations based on Article 28 of GATT, we will translate it into implementing act, and this is how they will be set in concrete terms. What I think is also very important for you to know that we also want to learn from the past. So when we would see the significant developments on the markets, we can increase that tariff-free quota, we can decrease it, because I think we just want to be sure that we would have the mechanism which would, from one side, make sure that we are offering adequate protection to our industry. At the same time, we are not passing through the excessive costs on our downstream industry. Therefore, we went for the tariff-rate quota and not upfront tariff setting as in US. And for your information, when we've been calculating what it means for the downstream industry, so if this is implemented as we propose, so cost of one car could increase by approximately 50 euros, and cost of the fridge or dishwasher, if you're talking about steel derivatives, it's around €1. So I think that from this perspective, we made very careful choice not to kind of bring additional cost burden on our downstream industry. So it would be, of course, a more demanding process for us, but we want it to be transparent and fair to our partners and offer them the possibility to discuss the concrete allocations.
Thank you for those illustrative examples. And we take a final question online. Nikolaus Kurmaier.
Thank you. Can you hear and see me? Then I just have two quick questions. EVP Séjourné, I was just wondering whether it's common practice also going forward that we post about the college readout before the college readout takes place here in the press room. And secondly, regarding the reaction from China, the China Chamber of Commerce in the EU has already called it a protectionist signal. Is this sort of the new era of mercantilism, Commissioner Šefčovič?
Nikolaus, you had the right to one question, so I suppose you'll prefer an answer to the second. So, please.
Parce que j'avais pas compris la première.
Voilà, Nikolaus.
Pourquoi j'avais posé?
You want to go ahead to repeat the second?
Yes, please repeat the second question, because I was a little bit surprised. But the first.
The first question.
No, the first, I understand the first, so the second, please.
The second question is the China Chamber of Commerce in the EU has complained about this move as a protectionist signal. And I was just wondering whether this is another step towards an era where, I mean, we're halving the quota-free volume, we're doubling the safeguard tariff. I mean, this is a double whammy. Is this a new protectionist era?
Merci. Pour être clair, et je pense que le commissaire Šefčovič dira exactement la même chose que moi, nous n'aimons pas les tarifs. Et nous ne croyons pas à une politique industrielle menée par les tarifs. C'est pour cela que sur certains secteurs, en particulier des secteurs où on est ouvert et subi à des overcapacities qui nous mettent en difficulté, nous sommes obligés de les utiliser avec ce que Maroš Šefčovič vient d'évoquer, l'ensemble des règles liées à l'OMC et la compatibilité avec le droit international. Néanmoins, moi je suis pour que nous regardions également l'ensemble des conditions d'investissement sur le territoire européen. Je vous donne un exemple, nous avons des tarifs de 35% sur les voitures électriques chinoises à ce stade. La production d'une voiture électrique sur le territoire européen avec une technologie chinoise dans le cadre d'un transfert de technologie, dans le cadre d'un investissement qui fait fonctionner la chaîne de valeur européenne, les fournisseurs et l'ensemble de notre industrie provoque également, du fait de la structure de notre marché européen, un enrichissement du prix de la voiture finale. Je ne sais pas s'il correspond tout à fait aux 35%, mais en tout cas, il y a une deuxième voie, c'est aussi de produire au niveau européen. Je suis pour le trade et la Commission reste une commission ouverte. D'ailleurs, toutes les preuves sont là puisque nous avons ouvert un certain nombre de marchés qui étaient aujourd'hui fermés et que le travail continue sur des marchés très importants à l'exportation comme l'Inde dans les prochains mois. Il est pas de notoriété que la Commission est protectionniste, c'est plutôt l'extérieur qui se ferme et nous devons suivre sur un certain nombre de marchés, y compris pour protéger notre propre souveraineté et nos propres emplois.
On termine notre conférence de presse. Thank you very much to both the EVP and the Commissioner. Thank you for your very interesting questions. And I'm sorry we could not take all. And thank you to our interpreters and wish you a good evening.